Hollywood is a city built on dreams. But in 1947, one dreamer's story was twisted into a nightmare so disturbing, it still haunts Los Angeles more than 70 years later. This is the story of the Black Dahlia. On a cold January morning, a mother and her child were strolling through a quiet neighborhood in Los Angeles when they stumbled upon something that froze them in their tracks. At first, the woman thought it was a mannequin abandoned, discarded, forgotten. But as she looked closer, her heart stopped. It wasn't a mannequin. It was the body of a young woman posed, divided, and left in plain view as if someone wanted the world to see. The police arrived within minutes, sirens echoing down the quiet Los Angeles street. But what they found that morning would ignite one of the most infamous mysteries in American history. The young woman's body was so carefully staged, so deliberately placed, that it almost felt like a message one not meant for the police alone, but for the entire city. Within hours, the case was already attracting nationwide attention. Thanks to a new device called the sound photo machine, the victim's fingerprints were transmitted to Washington, D.C. It was a primitive fax, and yet it delivered results faster than anyone expected. Just 56 minutes later, the FBI confirmed the identity. Her name? Elizabeth Short. She was only 22, a dreamer, a Hollywood hopeful. She had drifted between states, moving from Boston to California, chasing a vision of silver screen stardom. With her striking dark fashion and porcelain beauty, she turned heads wherever she went. The newspapers, always hungry for scandal and sensation, branded her with a name that would forever replace her own, the Black Dahlia. But Elizabeth's life wasn't what the press painted it to be. She had endured years of hardship, broken relationships, and a constant struggle to survive. The FBI files showed the mundane details of a young woman just trying to find her place, once applying for a simple clerical job at an army base, another time arrested for underage drinking, ordinary mistakes, ordinary choices. Nothing that foreshadowed the nightmare she would be trapped in. And yet, here she was, a dream cut short. As detectives began to unravel the crime, one detail chilled them more than anything. There was no blood. Not a single drop. The ground was clean, almost sterile. Which meant one thing: the scene was staged. Whoever had taken her life had done so elsewhere, in a place no one had yet discovered, and had transported her body here like a grotesque exhibit. The way she was left behind was precise, almost clinical. The body had been divided so smoothly that it looked less like the work of rage and more like the deliberate practice of someone who knew anatomy well. This was no accident. This was the hand of someone with skill. Perhaps a surgeon, perhaps a student of medicine, perhaps someone who wanted the world to believe that. Investigators turned to the University of Southern California's medical school, questioning students who might possess such knowledge. They sifted through records, interrogated countless individuals, and yet each lead fell apart. The suspect was always just out of reach, like a shadow that vanished the moment light touched it. Then came the letters, envelopes addressed to the police, and the press began to appear, as if the killer himself was orchestrating the chaos. Inside were taunts, confessions, and in some cases, Elizabeth's own belongings. One package even contained official documents that only she would have had. Whoever sent them wasn't just playing a game, he was mocking the city, mocking the police, mocking the very idea of justice. Among the most chilling discoveries was a note that bore fingerprints. Investigators held their breath as the FBI ran it through their massive database, which by then contained over 100 million records. For a brief, flickering moment, it seemed as though the case would break wide open, but the prints didn't match anyone. Whoever he was invisible to the system, a ghost. Someone who could kill with precision, disappear without a trace, and even taunt the world afterward, knowing he was untouchable. The city of Los Angeles was left in fear. Mothers clutched their children tighter. Strangers eyed one another with suspicion. And in every dark corner of Hollywood, people whispered, the Black Dahlia's killer could be anyone. Days turned into weeks, weeks into decades. And yet the Black Dahlia's killer was never found. What makes this story so terrifying is just the brutality of the crime, and the silence that followed. A murderer had walked the streets of Los Angeles, confident enough to taunt the authorities, skilled enough to vanish into the fog of history. Elizabeth Short never became a starlet in Hollywood films, but her name became etched into legend for all the wrong reasons. To this day, her story is told in whispers, in haunted reenactments, and in the minds of those who fear the unseen hand of a predator who was never caught. And the scariest thought of all, if he could get away with it then. How many more stories like hers remain hidden in the shadows? The Black Dahlia case is more than a mystery, it's a reminder of how fragile life is when evil walks free. Elizabeth's story is one of broken dreams, unanswered questions, and a darkness that refuses to fade. Would you dare walk the streets of Los Angeles at night, knowing one of its darkest legends might still linger? Thanks for watching. If this story captivated you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's greatest mysteries. Stay safe out there.